Way down deep, where the water is dark and cool, lived a great big whale. His name was Wally. Wally was a humpback whale with a tummy as white as a cloud and a back as blue as the midnight sky. He was enormous, bigger than any boat and longer than the longest seaweed. He loved to glide through the ocean, feeling the gentle currents push him along. He would swish his giant tail from side to side, making big, slow circles in the water. Wally was a kind whale, with eyes as big and soft as sea sponges. He had many friends in the wide blue world he called home. But Wally had a secret, a very big secret for such a very big whale. He was afraid. It was a funny sort of fear, a quivery, shaky feeling that lived deep inside his giant whale heart. It wasn't the sharks he feared, with their pointy teeth and fast fins. It wasn't the giant squids that hid in the dark. It was something else entirely, something that made his huge body feel very, very small. He would often hide behind tall sea mountains, hoping nobody would notice his trembling. His friends, the cheerful dolphins and the wise old turtles, knew something was not quite right with their gentle giant. The other whales sang beautiful songs. Their voices traveled for miles and miles across the ocean. They sang of the bright sun and the silvery moon. They sang of tasty krill and playful seals. Their songs were like a warm hug, full of joy and confidence. But Wally's song was different. It was just a little whisper. He would try to sing loud and proud like his friends, but only a tiny, shy sound would come out. "My song is too small," he would think to himself. "What if nobody likes it? What if they all laugh at my little whisper?" So he kept his big, beautiful song locked away inside. This fear of singing made Wally feel very lonely. When the other whales gathered to make a magnificent ocean orchestra, Wally would swim away. He would pretend he had something very important to do, like counting all the starfish or checking on the sleeping clams. He would watch from a distance, his heart aching to join in. He longed to add his voice to the chorus, to be part of the beautiful music that filled the sea. But the fear was like a heavy anchor, holding him down in the silent depths, keeping his wonderful song from soaring free for everyone to hear. One sunny morning, the ocean was buzzing with excitement. It was the day of the great coral bloom, a special time when all the corals in the coral canyon opened up in a rainbow of colors. All the sea creatures were heading to the canyon to see the amazing sight. "Come with us, Wally," chirped a pod of dolphins, zipping past him in a silver streak. "You have to see the colors, and we will all sing to celebrate." Wally's heart did a little flip-flop. He wanted to go more than anything, but the thought of all those creatures, all that singing, made his fins feel wobbly and weak. He thought about the canyon. It was a long, narrow place with tall walls of coral on either side. To get through, you had to swim in a single line. Everyone would be close together. And when they sang, every single voice would be heard. There would be no place to hide his whisper. The thought made him shiver from the tip of his nose to the fluke of his tail. What if my whisper gets lost? He worried. Or worse, what if everyone hears how quiet it is and they all turn to stare at me? The fear grew bigger and bigger, like a dark shadow in the water, while he tried to think of an excuse. "Oh, I think I have a tickle in my blowhole," he mumbled to a passing turtle. The turtle, whose name was Tessa, was very old and very wise. She looked at Wally with her kind, wrinkly eyes. She had seen that look on his face before. She didn't say anything about his excuse. Instead, she said, "The canyon is a magical place, Wally. The colors can make your heart feel brave, but you can only see them if you swim through. You can't see the magic from the outside." Tessa then gave a slow nod and swam on toward the celebration. Wally watched her go. He watched the happy fish and the joyful jellyfish all swimming toward the canyon. He could already hear the faint sounds of their happy songs starting to build. He felt a deep sadness well up inside him. Tessa's words echoed in his mind. You can't see the magic from the outside. He realized she was right. He was always on the outside, always watching, always hiding. He was missing all the fun, all the magic, all because he was too scared to let his voice be heard. He couldn't keep running away from the music forever. Floating there alone, with the distant music tickling his ears, Wally felt a change. It wasn't a big, booming change. It was a small, quiet ripple, like a tiny pebble dropped into the vast ocean of his heart. He thought about all the times he had hidden. He thought about all the songs he had missed. He was tired of being scared. He was tired of being silent. Maybe, he whispered to a piece of floating seaweed, maybe my little song is okay. Maybe it doesn't have to be the loudest. Maybe it just has to be mine. It was a tiny thought, but it felt warm and bright. Just then, a tiny clownfish named Pip swam right up to Wally's giant eye. Pip was so small, he could have fit on Wally's tongue. "Are you coming, Wally?" Pip squeaked, his voice full of excitement. "We need your voice. We need a deep, low sound to make the song complete." Wally looked at the tiny fish. Pip wasn't asking for a loud song. He was just asking for Wally's song. He needed the deep note that only a big whale could make, no matter how quietly it was sung. This small invitation made Wally feel a little bit bigger on the inside. Taking a deep, shaky breath that made the water around him bubble, Wally made a decision. He would try. He would swim to the canyon. He would not turn back. He started to move his giant tail, slowly at first, and then with a little more purpose. He swam past the sea mountains where he used to hide. He swam past the fields of starfish he used to count. With every swish of his tail, the little ripple of courage inside him grew a little bit wider, a little bit stronger. He was still scared, but now there was something else there too, a little spark of hope. As he reached the entrance to the coral canyon, he saw his friends. The dolphins saw him and chirped a welcome. Tessa the turtle gave him a slow, approving wink. They didn't push him or tell him to hurry. They simply made a space for him in the line. They were waiting for him. Seeing their friendly faces, waiting for him to join them, made Wally feel like he belonged. He took his place behind Tessa, his huge body just fitting into the narrow passage. The colors of the coral were all around him, more beautiful than he had ever imagined. The music in the canyon was incredible. High notes from the dolphins, middle notes from the turtles, and bubbly rhythms from the fish all mixed together. Wally listened, his heart thumping. It was time. He closed his eyes, remembered Tiny Pip's words, and opened his mouth. He didn't try to be loud. He didn't try to be like the other whales. He just let out the sound that was inside him. It wasn't a whisper anymore. It was a low, gentle, beautiful hum, a deep, rumbling note that flowed out of him and filled the canyon. His song was not like the others. It was the foundation. It was the deep, steady heartbeat of the ocean. His low hum made the dolphins' high notes sound even sweeter. It made the turtles' melodies feel even warmer. It wrapped around all the other sounds like a big, gentle hug. No one laughed. Instead, they turned toward him and smiled. His song made their song complete. It was perfect. Wally opened his eyes and saw the joy on their faces. For the first time, he felt the music not just with his ears, but with his whole body. A feeling of pure happiness washed over Wally. It was better than seeing the coral bloom. It was better than gliding through the cool currents. He had faced his biggest fear, and he had found not laughter, but acceptance and joy. He lifted his head and sang again, this time a little louder, a little stronger. His voice, his own true voice, echoed off the colorful coral walls. It was the most wonderful feeling in the world. He was no longer the whispering whale. He was Wally, the whale with the deep and beautiful song. From that day on, Wally never hid his voice again. He sang when he was happy, and he sang when he was sad. He joined the ocean orchestra every chance he got, his deep, steady hum becoming the favorite part of the performance for many. He learned that being brave didn't mean not being afraid. It meant being afraid and doing it anyway. And as he swam through the big, wide ocean, his heart full and his song free, Wally the whale felt proud and strong, and very, very happy. He was a whale who had found his voice.